Alright, I guess enough teasers, wasting time. So I went with some Koenigs. So I figured I'd give a quick explanation as to why I have these wheels. If you've been following me on Instagram, I've gone through multiple sets and I guess purchases of wheels. I've had some old school JDM, like some Borfies that were in a staggered fitment. I had some Advans that were square setup. Then I had some RPF ones before this that were 17-inch. But what ended up happening, and I'll show this on the car in just a second, but I purchased a Figs Pro Angle kit, and that changes all the geometries on the front end of the vehicle. So that does also require a little bit more narrow of a tire, if I can talk, more narrow of a tire on the front. This is actually the 9.5. The 8.5 is what it'll be on the front, and it's a 35 offset. And rear will have a 9.5, 25 offset. So should look really, really killer on this car. Since they're a freeform wheel, if you don't know what that means, is basically it's a single piece that gets heated a lot, and then pressure is applied to the sides. The wheel spins and rotates to the desired width, and that's basically how they're produced. You end up saving a lot of material, and in saving material, you save a lot of weight. So these don't weigh very much at all. I was super surprised when I picked these up. Shout out to Koenig for getting these to me. I've been having a hard time getting parts in since the whole COVID-19 thing. So yeah, let's do a quick car update. So obviously one of the main things with any of these types of builds is actually getting the engine back into the car, unless you're doing everything inside the vehicle itself. The engine's in. That's a big piece of the progress here. We have the radiator mounted. We've got some little here and there to do in plumbing as well. Also, I went with some radium AN lines or AN fittings for the valve covers themselves, and then the Yaris coil packs from UpFab. They sell a kit there. It's a simple bolt-in kit. Everything drops right up, and then it replaces the igniter, which is a big failing point, or big potential failing point in this engine. We also have this catch can here that came from Quartz Performance. Jason builds these by hand. He's just an incredible welder, so no complaints there. And then we can take a look at the suspension as it sits right now. Kind of interesting here, just because I am missing a big component, and that component is coilovers. So I have coilovers on order, but they're about 6 to 8 weeks out, so everything is just sitting here. This is the Figs Pro Angle kit. I ended up getting the second hand for a crazy good deal. And if you notice that the brace right there, it's not mounted, and that's because the caster arm that's right here requires a beefier brace. You probably could get away with just the factory one if you weren't doing anything like crazy at all, but I wanted to play it safe, and that is one of the items that is actually held up at customs. So we can move over into the interior here. Pretty simple, but there is a big thing missing, and that is front seats. So there are no front seats right now, and those are on order. That should have shipped on the 17th, but they didn't. So hopefully the 25th, I think, is the next date. I do have a Vertex steering wheel on an NRG quick release. So it's the SFI rated one. So this just pops right off, comes off, and then you have a tiny opening here. AEM gauges, I didn't go with anything fancy, just went with some standard stuff here. Nothing crazy, just an in-dash. We added that like early on in the build. And then I did change the lighting out in the gauge cluster itself. It's all white backlighting versus like a yellow. We are gonna run, I don't know if you can see it there, open the other door, put the wheel back. We are going to run the planted seat bracket for the front, and I did replace the power steering, not the power steering, the what am I talking about? The fuel pump. So the fuel pump ended up getting replaced, and that is running a what is that running? That is running an AEM fuel pump, a high flow fuel pump in an Aristo JDM fuel pump hanger, so that you could have a return. So this thing probably isn't focusing on my face. There it goes. So that's kind of it for now. We did do the brakes. So the rear just has these brakes. I am considering getting a Willwood caliper or an independent caliper for a hydraulic e-brake. But again, there's no coilovers over here, so it's just sagging. There are stainless lines in the back. I ended up putting in and it's really not something you can see. I mean, you can kind of see like the pumpkin right there, but not really. But I did end up putting in a Cause 2A LSD with the automatic IS300 gear ratios. So that should change some things, not drastically, but all in. So even though there aren't any coilovers on the car, let's see how this will look. I think it'll look really well with the contrasting colors from the dark gray and the kind of a light gray. That looks pretty good. So that is in the rear of the vehicle. We'll go ahead and throw one of these front ones on too, just to kind of see how much of a flare I'm gonna need. Obviously, there's no brakes on the front right now. I'm working on it. There will be a video on that too. Awesome. So this is a kind of good example of how far the Pro Angle kit pushes the wheel out. That's an 8.5 inch wide wheel, and it's still out like, I don't know, maybe about an inch. Close to an inch at least. So, no big deal. To be expected. Looks super good though. Alrighty guys, so that is all I wanted to share for today. Just a quick update on the progress that we've had on the IS300 build. The wheels look freaking killer. Koenig's just killing it. I think that they've really taken into consideration actual car enthusiasts, and they've changed up a lot of their design. So really impressed with these wheels. So stay tuned for some more content. I do have a video coming up with me rebuilding this engine harness, and we're going to do a discussion, or kind of a discussion I guess, on the Raptor and why I got rid of the Tacoma. So we'll go through with that, and yeah, some more installs and hopefully some driving at some point. Stay safe everybody, thanks for watching, stay tuned, peace.